They keep talking about this Green New Deal. Have you noticed when even the most quacky of the quacks in the Democrat Party quack out something like Green New Deal, the media pick up the labeling like they're a marketing arm of the kooks on the left, and the media push it. And the media push it. So now the media talk about a Green New Deal the way they talk about climate change. So here's Kamala Harris on CNN yesterday with with John King. Go ahead.
Can we afford it?
Of course we can afford it.
$2.5–3 trillion a year for Medicare for all by some studies. Depending on which portions of the Green New Deal you pick to do first, that's money. That you know what the Republicans are going to say, tax and spend liberals, pie in the sky.
By the way, why is it just the Republicans who are noticing that these are crazy-ass numbers that the Democrats want to spend? Can you imagine? Go ahead.
One of the things that I admire and respect is the measurement that is captured in 3 letters, ROI.
ROI?
What's the return on the investment? People in the private sector understand this really well.
All right, stop. What do they mean, what's the return on an investment? When you massively taxes and you confiscate the money that somebody has earned, that they have spent their life, their intellectual and physical labor earning, that's not an investment. That's a seizure. That's confiscation. And so I will not allow them, you've got to do this too, I will not allow them to get away with destroying the language. We're going to make an investment. No, you're stealing my money to advance your notion of the way the country should function. You're stealing my money and giving it to somebody else through the hands of bureaucrats. That's not an investment. Go ahead.
It's not about a cost. It's about an investment. And then the question should be...
So, see, that's it. Hey, don't worry about the cost. Look, it's not a cost. It's an investment. What's the problem? It's not a cost, and it's an investment. Big deal. Go ahead.
Is it worth the cost in terms of the investment potential? Are we going to get back more than we put in?
Are we? She doesn't have the foggiest idea. She's a nitwit. All these leftists are nitwits. They make these proposals and they know nothing. Speaking of nitwits, we have this Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, which the media, she's a media creation. She's an absolute idiot. She won a fluke of an election. She's an absolute idiot. And they keep promoting this fool. Now, what does she think? The Green New Deal. Go ahead.
And I read it and I was like, you know what? I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. Because, again, I'm at least trying, and they're not. So the power is in the person who's trying, regardless of the success. If you're trying, you've got all the power. You're driving the agenda. You're doing all this stuff. Like, I just introduced Green New Deal 2 weeks ago, and it's creating all of this conversation. Why? Because no one else has even tried. So people are like, oh, it's unrealistic.
No one else has even tried. First of all, why would they? Secondly, that's BS. This movement, they just gave it a new name, the Green New Deal. They gave it that name so it's attractive to you. Well, look at that. It's green, it's new, and it's a deal. Oh, a Green New Deal. And look, the New Deal gave us Social Security, and I really think I like it. It sounds great. The Green New Deal reminds me of Franklin Roosevelt. It must be swell. Let me tell you what they used to call it. They used to call it Marxism. Let me tell you what else they used to say about it. They used to say that they want to push this green movement, not for clean air, clean water. We have relatively clean air and clean water now. They'll never stop with that. No. It's an attack on private property rights. But that wasn't enough. Now it's a full-scale attack on capitalism. But that's not enough. Now it's a full-scale attack on your way of life. On your way of life. The phrases they use when you're not around, that they use in their little closed-door seminars is, America is over-industrialized. Clever, huh? We're over-industrialized. And what do you do about an over-industrialized society? These are their words, not mine. You degrowth it. You've heard about growing an economy? Well, you degrowth the American economy. It's over-industrialized, so you degrowth it. And they have used this notion of the environment and green and air and water as nothing more than front arguments for their ultimate purpose. We know this because they've told us this. I've written about it. But the media, of course, perpetuates this, and they will never help us expose it. This is the red movement that's gone green. Hello. I said this years ago. It's the old red movement that's dressed up as the new green movement. Now, that's why they're pushing this moron. Because she's not the 77-year-old Bernie Sanders who supported Castro, who supported Ortega, who supported the old Soviet Union, who supports Maduro. They can pour their agenda through her mouth, through her actions. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And she's young enough to be appealing to many young people. She is a mannequin through whom they push their agenda. If we were living in a rather normal situation in this country right now, she would be dismissed as a buffoon. But she's not dismissed as a buffoon because they need her. Not because she's smart, it's because she's stupid. But she's a good face, age, person for the agenda, as opposed to an old red. She's a new green. Go ahead.
It's vague. Oh, it doesn't address this little minute thing. And I'm like, you try. You do it.
Right.
Because you're not. So until you do it, I'm the boss.
That's
How about
right.
that?
Till you do what? Now let's sit back and think about this insanity for a moment. In other words, let's bring some mature, rational, sober thinking to this. First, they claim they would change every single building to make it climate change, what? Efficient? Every single building. Now, I want you to think about this. Who's going to be in charge? We're going to have federal agents? Federal officers? Federal zoning officials? Federal inspectors? Now just think about that alone, the number of people involved, and the destruction of local and state authority, and the destruction of private property. So keep in mind, all those things are destroyed, never to return again. So you've now federalized decision-making on private property home. I remember a day when they said, the government must stay out of the bedroom. Now they want the government in the bedroom through the excuse of green and the environment. And where are all these people going to come from? They're going to drag them out of the private sector? Who's going to pay for all these people? Just one little aspect of this. Okay. Now, how do we make homes, apartment buildings, businesses, and everything in between, how do we make them climate change efficient? Who decides what that means? What does that mean? Does that mean you have to change the electrical wiring? Does it mean you have to change the plumbing? Does it mean you have to adjust the roof and have solar panels? Does it mean you have to do something to the siding? What exactly does that mean? And doesn't that open the door to government control over your registers and over your thermostats and over your HVAC system? Of course it does. Well, how does the government control that? Seems to me it's going to be a rather aggressive police state. And will all these people work for the government or be compelled to be independent contractors of some sort to the government? How is this going to work? Where do the materials come from? Excuse me. Who pays for the materials? I'm just talking about your home and your place of work now. I'm not even talking about everything else that's out there. Automobiles, trucks, airplanes, helicopters, tractors, farmland. Who knows? But it's all intended to give power to the government that the government was never envisioned to have, period. That's what this is. This is the iron fist of Marxism and pseudo-fascism. That's what it is. with a 29-year-old illiterate rambling on to take the gut punch out of it. Oh, well, she wouldn't be there. She's not like Bernie. She's young. She's smart. And there's an urgency you got to do it right away. There's always an urgency to what the left wants to do. Why? Because they don't want you to take your time to think things through, to ask questions. No, urgent. We're all going to be dead in 12 years. Hurry up. Remember the ocean was going to rise? That was 10 years ago. It's going to rise, and then, my God! And look at the hurricanes. We've always had hurricanes. And look at the fires. We've always had fire. Look at the drought. We've always had drought. Carbon dioxide is the enemy, you see. Global warming, climate change. It's carbon dioxide. It's too bad it sounds like carbon monoxide. For instance, if you put your mouth around the exhaust in your automobile, you're not going to live. You're going to die. That's carbon monoxide that kills you. So I strongly discourage you from doing it. Carbon dioxide, every time you exhale, you create carbon dioxide. You are exhaling carbon dioxide. If we go to the bathroom and do what they say cows do, you create carbon dioxide. Every living creature creates carbon dioxide when they exhale. That is, that travel the earth, the land masses. And that's a good thing. Why? Because all those plants you like, they need carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is oxygen to plants. The great redwoods, grass, whatever plants. Green stuff, green. And they need carbon dioxide to survive and to thrive and expand. And through photosynthesis, they create what? Oxygen. Carbon dioxide effectively creates oxygen through plant life. If we didn't have any carbon dioxide, we'd be dead. They talk about greenhouse gases. Oh, my God, they're pollution. Greenhouse gases are not pollution. They include stuff like condensation. What's that? Water and carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is not a pollutant. It's never been a pollutant. Hello? Carbon dioxide is not a pollutant. It doesn't dirty your water or dirty the air. And I've used this example before. I used it in Liberty and Tyranny years ago, and I want to use it again. Assume the atmosphere, which is a greenhouse effect. Assume the atmosphere consists totally of 100,000 seats in a stadium. 4 of those seats would represent carbon dioxide. Fewer than 4 of those would represent the effects of human behavior on carbon dioxide. In other words, if they control the entire United States, all production, all wealth, they eliminate all red meat, the effect of temperature, climate, the environment would be de minimis. This is about stealing your liberty. Maybe we should call it freedom of the press. Then maybe the media will actually understand that they should be with us rather than the rest. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.